numbers seem quite positive. Have we turned a corner?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, as you know, banks are so closely linked to the underlying state of the economy. So, I mean, they are a good read for what's going on underneath. Whether we've turned a corner in Europe in terms of sort of economic trajectory is still very difficult to say. But underlying, Deutsche, UBS, they both look all right, apart from the cash call on Deutsche's part. For Lloyd's, it's quite difficult to call it an underlying read of what's going on in the economy. Although there was some loan growth, quite a lot of it that is down actually to sort of the size of impairments beating or the sort of the coming down quicker than analysts had expected.
I mean, on the cash call from Deutsche, I mean, it seems long overdue. It seems banks are now really trying to get their acts together.
Yeah, you'd hope so. I mean, they've had plenty of time to do so. This looks down to do with sort of S&P's. The rating agency's worries about UBS's balance sheet, and this will shore it up a little bit. It'll also dilute, obviously, the valuation a little bit, so Deutsche looks a little bit less cheap than it did yesterday, but it still looks inexpensive relative to history, we think.
Spanish GDP numbers, they're in line. They don't look good. It fits in pretty well with the story that we know all too well. How severe is the general pullback in equities that many are expecting going to be, do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've had some sort of starts of pullbacks a little bit, but we haven't had anything that we'd call sort of, in the sort of 5% region that would be more significant. So I guess, it feels like there's more to come. Alongside that, we're sort of probably on the downslope of that vigorous inventory cycle, just as the effects of sequestration are going to hit the U.S. economy. So we could get softer numbers out of the U.S. economy. You've got the Italian, the so-called Grand Coalition, which shouldn't fill anyone with much confidence. The U.S. looks like it's getting lured into Syria. So there's plenty of reasons for further pullback. But from our perspective, we look at the sort of the private sector in the U.S., which is the majority of the U.S. economy, and we see good reason for confidence. And alongside that, while the ECB continues, their promise remains credible, it remains easier to sort of shelve Europe economically and focus on the equity markets.